Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on Elite Academy and welcome back to our daily issue analysis, DIA. So again, today we have come up with a very important topic from the current affairs, so let's start our discussion. So today we are discussing gender issues and we should know that why it is in news. So if you are following news, then you must be sure about it, even if you are following news related to prelims. So recently, global gender gap, that is triple G index, has been released 2022 by World Economic Forum, and India's performance is very bad, very poor. That is, out of 146 countries, India's rank is 135 out of 146 countries in terms of gender parity. Okay, and it is being said, if that will be the case, then the index is saying that it will now take 132 years to reach gender parity at this pace. And this is also important in another context. So this particular context is with respect to global gender gap index, and there is another context. The second context is that Niti Aayog in March 2022, they have announced that Niti Aayog is in the process of developing a national gender index. For what purpose? To measure the progress and to identify the persisting gaps, progress and persisting gaps in gender equality, so that informed policy making, informed policy decisions can be taken. So because of these two contexts, we are discussing this in DIA. Now we will understand it holistically, and the issue and analysis we will see. So whenever we are analyzing gender issues, especially from mains answer writing point of view, we should categorize, because when we have categories, then we can think better. Then we will be able to generate more points. So for that purpose, we are going to use the four parameters which is given by Global Gender Gap Index 2022. So they are analyzing, they weigh gender parity on four parameters. So the first parameter is economic participation and opportunities. The second one is political empowerment. The third is health and survival, and the fourth one, educational attainment. So this is very clear, very direct, and this can be a very good start that the Global Gender Gap Index by World Economic Forum analyzes the gender parity based on these four parameters, and we will also analyze under the respective heads the progress and the issues. So this will be a very good start. So remember this category for your answers especially. Okay, so let's start our analysis. We are going to also analyze in the same manner. So now we will analyze the issues with respect to economic participation. So the first category which we have taken is economic participation. So there are various arguments, various dimensions on which we can analyze it. So the first analysis we will do is with respect to labor force participation. So with respect to labor force participation, if we analyze the overall labor force participation according to Center for Monitoring Indian Economy, they have released this data in April 2022 itself. So the overall labor force participation rate has fallen to just 40%, and in 2016 it was 47%. So you remember that overall labor force participation is just 40%, and in that, if we talk specifically about female labor force participation, so a data has been released in June 2022 by Periodic Labor Force Survey, that is PLFS annual report. It says that female labor force participation in India is at present 25%. So if we analyze this data, then we know, we can summarize, we can analyze that overall labor force participation rate is already low, and within that female labor force participation is further low. So we can analyze that what role in the economy women are doing or performing. Second point is with respect to earned income of women. So we have this data in this index only, it has been given that female labor force participation which has been declined, that is true. But if we analyze it with respect to income inequality, income inequality point of view, so the earned income of women, even though it has increased to 40% between 2012 and 2022, that is within a decade, in last one decade, even though earned income has increased to 40%, but when we compare this with male income, then it is very less, because the male income has increased to up to 75% during the same period. So the male income is increasing, the earned income of men has increased by 75% in this period, and the women, it is just 40%. So can you see the disparity? So this is one of the biggest problem. Even HR of the many companies, they analyze this, that for the same work men are paid differently and women are paid differently. even in IT sector. In IT sector, what is the issue? You have to just do coding or a specific work where gender based discrimination or gender based work division cannot happen, but even then they are being paid less. The third aspect which you should use for analysis is double burden. So women in the economy, women in our society are double burden. On the one hand, they have to participate in economy also. On the other hand, they are participating or they are performing a lot of work at the domestic front also, be it as mother, wife. So they have double burden. They have to face the double burden. Fourth point which you should analyze it with respect to women face this issue of glass ceiling effect. So glass ceiling is uh, it is a kind of artificial ceiling which women are not able to break. Why? Because after a certain point of time it becomes very difficult for the working women to climb the ladder up in the hierarchy. So reaching up to middle managerial level it is good, but after that, after middle managerial level, this glass ceiling effect is being seen, which is the artificial boundary, artificial ceiling, which women are not able to break. Also, the another dimension of issue which you can analyze is sexual harassment at workplace is one of the biggest delimiting factor because of which our Indian women are not able to work properly, or the issues they are facing, and because of that they are dropping it out. Also, the last point which you will analyze is women are seen or they are seen as burden by the companies because they go for maternity leaves. So most of the companies, they don't even promote, they don't even allow the paid maternity leave, even though we have policy, even though we have schemes, but most of the companies, in order to cut down their expenditure, they are not promoting that. Because of that, they consider women as burden and they don't allow them in the recruitment process itself. They will be very biased. So these are the points using which you can analyze the economic participation or the issues in the economic participation of women. Also, those students who have attended the case study workshop today, that is the last case study workshop, today we have discussed the issues related to women. There was a case study. So you can use these points in order to analyze your case study also. And next very important tip which I want to give from answer writing point of view is that, so whatever points you can see, the dimensions, we have discussed about 6 dimensions. So for every dimension you can have data. For example, we only discussed about labor force participation rate, female labor force participation rate, earned income. So we'll have lot of data, but don't overkill. Let's say you are just analyzing economic participation and you are giving data for each and everything, then it will be over and it will not look good. So we need to have a fine balance between data and analysis. So remember this, whenever you are writing, keep this point in mind. Don't overdo. Okay. Now let's analyze the other category. Next area of analysis which we have taken is the political participation of women. So on that we will see the points. So the first point which we should remember is that proportion of women in ministerial position in 2022 is 9%. So political representation, as we have studied under the analysis video when we were analyzing the parliamentary representation, parliamentary reforms. So there we analyze this, that even though political representation of women in India is increasing, but biases still exist. And we discussed that representation of women in parliament in the latest Lok Sabha is 14% only. However, it has increased from 12% to the last Lok Sabha, but at present it is just 14%. At the same time, we have representation in panchayat where 33% of the seats are being reserved for women, but there also we are facing the issues of sarpanch pati, or the husbands or the brothers. They are taking care of the activities, they are taking care of everything on the name of women leader, women sarpanch. So it is symbolic in nature and it is a very big problem we are coming across, and we do write this in our answers as well. We have seen every day some or the other news. Even I tweeted it about my village, and on my Twitter account I told I have with proof I tweeted that how in the whole meeting women itself is missing and the husband was taking care of everything. Next issue is not a political priority. Why? Because for in order to increase the women representation in parliament, there was one bill which was introduced, women reservation bill, and this bill envisaged that 33% of reservation should be given to women in for the parliamentary seats. But this is not on political priority. Even this bill has lapsed. So you can understand the status of political priority with respect to representation of women in the parliament. And also there is a lot of patriarchal mindset because of which women are not still accepted in the leadership position. And the male from our community, male in our community, they don't accept somehow females in leadership position, be it armed forces or even the even our IT sector or anywhere you see. However, to some extent the things are changing and government is also taking a lot of initiatives, but yeah, these issues still are persistent. Okay, so you need to analyze it from this point of view. Now let's see another category. Now we will analyze the issues from health and survival point of view. So the first argument or the first line of thought should be with respect to care, work, and their last priority. It means that if you see your mothers only, or wives, or your partners, so they play a very important role in care, taking care of the whole family, taking care of the children, husbands, or the senior citizens in the family. So they play a very important role, and because of that sometimes the food or their care, their particular care will be last priority in the family. So this is one point because of which their health and their survival is like gets affected. Also the prevalence of anemia is more in women. The It has been seen, so adolescent anemia is there, pregnant and lactating women, they undergo the problem of anemia. Next, you should analyze the issue from with respect to HIV burden. So this HIV burden is disproportionately higher on the women. So we have a data from 2011 which says that 2.5 million people were affected with HIV in India, and out of those 2.5 million, 39% were women. So this shows that HIV burden is also, the diseases like HIV, they are also disproportionately putting a burden on women only. Not only that, with respect to pandemic also, there was a phenomena which was observed, the phenomena of shadow pandemic. So earlier what happened when pandemic was not there, what used to happen, men used to go for work, but since they were staying together and they were investing more time together, it was seen because of the pandemic the women were becoming more victim of more violence, domestic violence or sexual violence. So this was also seen, and this phenomena is known as shadow pandemic. So again, the burden was on women. With respect to violence, the fourth point which we should analyze is, so we have data of NFHS. So if you all are following DI initiative properly, then we have already discussed whenever we were discussing about our health, public health related, there was a topic there we discussed that more than 80% of women have acknowledged that some point in their life they have faced domestic and sexual violence by their current partners or their former partners. So this is a huge analysis. This is analysis which is a matter of concern. And the last point which you should remember with respect to health and survival is that access, that is accessibility to health services, be it institutional deliveries in rural areas, it is very low, or the availability of contraceptives, that also we have analyzed earlier in the video. So these are very low, and women only at the last they suffer a lot with respect to these. So what you have to do, you have to do a fine balance again with respect to data and the analysis. So today in this in this topic slide, if we analyze, so we use the data of HIV burden and we have used the data of violence. So don't overdo, even if you know it, refrain from doing it. Even in the political empowerment we discussed the data, 2 3 data only. So keep a fine balance of it. The rest of the point should be analysis aspect and very limited data. So do support it, but don't overdo it. So again and again I'm telling you, so that even if you have data, refrain from it. Okay, let's analyze the next subhead. Now we will analyze the issues under educational attainment, under the category of educational attainment. So the first point is related to tertiary education. So if we analyze the data with respect to tertiary education, so like we were analyzing that how the this index is analyzing the data with respect to one decade from 2012 to 2020, in between that period. So the tertiary education, the women who were able to get access to tertiary education in 2012 were 15%. Now in 2022 it is 27.8%. So definitely it is an increase, it is a progress. But if we analyze the same progress in comparison with men, it is very less. Next is related to dropout rates. So the dropout rates in India is very high with respect to girls, because if we have to analyze it from the distance point of view, the schools are at far away places. Also, with respect to infrastructure, the toilets are less, and not only that, parents they are very much worried about they have safety concerns, the security concerns related to girl if they are traveling to far off places. Okay, so that's why we have dropout rates more. Next dimension which you have to remember is with respect to poverty. So poverty, what happens? So if there is no livelihood is not there in the family, income is less. So with respect to education, in cases of poverty, the families which are struggling with poverty, their more focus is given on the education of the male child, and women or the girls, they have to face the issue of dropout. Okay, so that is also gender sensitive. Then we have gender sensitive infrastructure. If we analyze, so there also we see that in cities we have this issue of dark spots where street lights are not there, so women cannot go for work or go for education early in the morning or late in the evening, because because of the dark spots. So there would be security concerns. Okay, and with respect to infrastructure, we have the issue that even in schools or sometimes at the educational infrastructure level, there will be no toilets, so they face a lot of problems, especially during the monthly cycles when they are going through. So a lot of problem will be there. Okay, next issue which you have to analyze is with respect to early marriage. So it was, there is an NFHS data, and it was analyzed that the total women who are getting married, out of that, those women who are getting married uh, under the 18 years of age, they were, the data is 23.3%. So 23.3% are getting women are getting married under the age of 18% of the, out of the total women who are getting married. Okay, and this is very huge, and the it is an issue, because after marriage women have to face the issues of pregnancy, not issue but like they have to undergo pregnancy, they have to migrate. So be it the tertiary education or be it their role in the labor force participation, everything will be affected. Okay, so take care of these points, that whenever you are analyzing, how much data you should use, how much analysis should you use. Okay, so this is it with respect to the dimensions under which we have to understand the issues. But let's not paint very grim picture, gloomy picture. Let's not be cynical about it, because whenever we are preparing for the exam, we have to keep in mind that we should also write the progress. Okay, so after this, let's analyze the progress aspect. Okay, now we will analyze the progress made. So the first point which you have to remember, so here we are going to use the data in order to understand the point. So women with having more bank accounts has increased. So there are total 78.6% women who are having their own personal bank accounts. Also, if we analyze it with respect to the women who are owning mobile phones, there are total 54% of women. Next is with respect to women married before 18. So why we are keeping it again in progress made, because it is 23%. Earlier it was more, it has reduced. So this is the, there we are making progress. Okay, and another point is with respect to 10 years of schooling. So 41% women are there who have attained the 10 years of schooling. So are you seeing that we are analyzing one with respect to technology point of view, another with respect to institution society point of view, marriage, another with respect to education, the other one is with respect to finances, and the last one is with respect to access to clean cooking fuel. So PAHAL has played very important role, and 68.6% of women are there who are having access to clean cooking fuel. So this is only with the help of data which we have analyzed. However, you can use your own analysis and your own observation that how women are getting more voice and they are getting access to, be it the political representation, it has improved. The Lok Sabha data itself is there that 14% increase has happened. However, the global average was 23% only. We have discussed it in when we were discussing the parliamentary reforms. Okay, so you analyze, use your observation, be it at the education front, or be it the at the level of job or social media, how it that is playing important role. How many women they are becoming the leaders with respect to issues like hashtag me too, or sexual exposing sexual harassment, or they are vocal for their rights in temple entry, or they are everywhere. So the progress is definitely there. So you analyze, use your point, and bring your observation into that analysis. Okay, now we'll see certain recommendation by the committees. Now let's analyze the recommendations of various committees with respect to women. So we have this committee, Satyanarayan Jatiya Committee, which has given recommendation related to safety of women in India in 2020. So what are the points which has been recommended? The first point is related to filing of charge sheet. So if there is any issue related to any complaint which has been filed by any women, so the filing of charge sheet should be done within 30 days. Then only we can think of any speedy justice. Okay. Then the trial of pending cases should be completed within 6 months, because of the delay it is creating a culture of impunity, and thus it is leading to denial of justice. Okay, and thus it is not also able to create a deterrence effect on the criminals or the people who are habitual offender and they are committing crimes against women. Another recommendation is related to accused should not be given bail. So be very strict about it. The accused should not be given bail, and if we go ahead like this, then at least there will be deterrence that okay, we cannot come out on bail. If they come out on bail, they find it easy that again, like they keep doing, they become habitual offender. Another recommendation which has been given by this committee is that political representation is lacking, which this committee says that which shows because of the lack of political representation they are not getting voice for their concerns. So it recommended strongly for the 33% of reservation to women in parliament. And the second last point is related to fast track courts. So the committee has recommended that 1800 fast track courts should be operational in order to deal with the issues related to women. And the last one is with respect to setting up of National Anti-Trafficking Bureau. So the committee is saying that the poor women, the illiterate women, they are being forced in flesh trade. They are being this trafficking is happening. They are being trafficked for flesh trade, domestic labor, and this is going unnoticed. And we don't have anybody to monitor this. So National Anti-Trafficking Bureau should be set up so that they can come up with data, they can come up with analysis, and accordingly evidence-based policy making, evidence-based executive action could be taken. We will see other recommendations. Another recommendations which we can have from committees, so we have high level committee on the status of women, Palm Rajput committee, which was there in 2015. So they have also recommended many things. The first point is that they suggested that there should be gender atlas where we can monitor the data on gender, and this gender atlas should be updated in every 5 years. So this is very important analysis which you can have. So the students who have attended today's ethics case study session live writing, so there we have discussed about a star rating of the institutions workplace based on the safety of the women at workplace. So those ideas you can have, so include this also there in the case study analysis which we have done today. Okay, next point is related to the Palm Rajput committee recommended that there should be strong support services to women with respect to shelter, medical and legal aid. That is very important because women lack financial supports or other support also related to these issues, so that they can have their own independence. Next is gender friendly public spaces should be there for a safety and security point of view, be it at workplace, be it transport or the street. So these are the points, self explanatory points. Just you take the name of Palm Rajput committee and write these. And the last one is with respect to gender sensitization of all the stakeholders. So Palm Rajput committee told that the stakeholders should include everyone: media, police, district administration, panchayat, male community. So they gender sensitive training should be given to them in order to understand the problems of women, and also accordingly working in that direction, so that all the stakeholders are working together for a particular cause. Okay, now let's have a look at the way forward. So next in the way forward, you should write points. What should be the way forward? The first point you write about gender responsive budgetings. It should be there right from the budget formation itself, process itself. We should have efficient allocation of resources, so that and efficient utilization of resources should be there with respect to gender needs. Second point, with respect to legal framework, you talk about, like we discussed, that women reservation bill has lapsed, so legal framework should be strong in order to deal with representation of women in different spheres. Also, you talk about sensitization. So sensitization towards women should be right from the childhood, So we read in ethics that value degradation is happening. So we need to put a check on that value degradation. So we need to rope in all the stakeholders, right from childhood, adult, and then panchayat, district administration, everybody. So sensitization should be there in all these spheres. And you'd also talk about the new spheres. So new spheres, when I am talking about, it means that new forms of crimes are coming against women. So on the digital media, social media, so this is like digitization of crime is happening, defamation is happening. So these are the new spheres of crime. So you already know about this boys locker room or bully by app. So these are the new spheres. So we should have laws in place in order to control these crimes as well, so that the dignity or the defamation aspect or the crime aspect will be under check. And then only we can target of achieving gender equality, which is one of the target of sustainable development goal 5. So with this you can end your answer and it will be a beautiful answer. Okay, so hope you had good points, you got good analysis. So again, point of caution is that these are the general issues which everybody, all of us have got exposure, and we read these things in depth and we have very good understanding. So don't sound very critical, and don't sound like too much of things are happening. Do recognize the issues which are there, and at the same time don't overkill, don't overdo with data. So refrain from using too much of data. You should come up with analysis and your observation. So bring examples, bring data, but have a balanced use of everything. So that is the answer writing tip. Hope you enjoyed the discussion. With this, let's wind up for the day, and we will meet tomorrow again. Take care, guys. Bye bye, and revise very well. Okay.